Have you ever stopped to think about why certain people seem to carry a different energy, a force that attracts attention, sparks curiosity, and at the same time generates envy? What if I told you there's a profound spiritual reason for it? What if you discovered that it's not a coincidence that you're a Gemini, but rather a divine choice, a greater purpose placed in your soul even before you were born? Today, you're going to discover something that can completely change the way you see yourself. We're going to reveal 10 reasons why God chose Gemini to carry a unique strength, an energy that few signs possess. And look, that's no exaggeration. If you've made it this far, believe me, the universe wants you to hear this message. Perhaps you've already felt that there's something special about you, but you've never been able to explain what it is. Maybe people call you intense, complicated, or say that you change a lot. But the truth is that these characteristics are not flaws. They are gifts. And today you will understand why God gave you this dual nature, this ability to adapt, to transform, to be many people in one. Because if you don't know how to use this strength, if you continue to believe that you need to fit into a mold, you will waste the greatest gift you have received. And that would be a tragedy. So stay with me until the end, because every word here was thought out for you, to awaken you, to make you recognize who you really are. Reason 1. Gemini was chosen to be the messenger of heaven. Do you know that feeling that you always have something important to say? That restlessness when you see an injustice, when you realize someone is suffering in silence, or when you simply feel the need to share an idea? This is no coincidence. Gemini was chosen by God to be the messenger of heaven on earth. And that is an enormous responsibility, but also an unparalleled blessing. Since you were a child, you probably already demonstrated this ability. You were the kind of person who asked questions, who wanted to understand everything, who wasn't satisfied with superficial answers. And when you grew up, you realized you had a knack for communicating, for translating complex thoughts into simple words, for connecting people and ideas. This isn't luck. It's divine purpose. God knew that the world would need someone capable of carrying important messages from one place to another. Someone who could speak to all kinds of people, from the simplest to the most intellectual. Someone who wouldn't judge but would listen. Someone who wouldn't impose their truth, but would share knowledge. And he chose Gemini for that. But look, being a messenger doesn't just mean speaking. It means being a channel. It means letting the wisdom of the universe flow through you. How many times have you said something and then thought, where did that come from? How many times have you advised someone and not even known how you found those right words? This happens because you don't speak alone. You are guided. And you know what else? When you speak, people listen. You may not realize it, but your words have weight. They carry an energy that touches the heart of the listener. That's why you often feel exhausted after long conversations. Because you're not just talking, you're channeling spiritual energy. But there's a challenge in that. You won't always be understood. People won't always value what you have to say. And that can frustrate you, can make you silent, withdraw, doubt your own gift. But listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you. It doesn't matter if people recognize it or not. What matters is that you continue fulfilling your mission. Because God didn't give you this ability so that you could become popular or famous. He gave it to you so that you could be a bridge between heaven and earth. So that you could bring light where there is darkness, clarity where there is confusion, hope where there is despair. And that is a sacred work. So if you're a Gemini, accept this truth. You were chosen to speak, to communicate, to transmit. And whenever you feel that restlessness, that urge to express yourself, don't ignore it. Because the universe might be using you to deliver exactly the message someone needs to hear at that moment. And that, my dear, is a divine privilege. Reason 2. Gemini was blessed with duality to understand all sides of life. How many times have you been called contradictory? How many times have people told you that you change your mind too quickly, that you're difficult to understand, that you seem like two people at once? Probably many. And you may have even felt bad about it, as if there was something wrong with you. But let me tell you a truth that will change your perspective. This duality is not a flaw. It's the greatest gift God could have given you. Gemini carries within itself two sides, two worlds, two souls living in one body. And this is intentional. God created you this way so that you could understand all sides of life. So that you wouldn't be trapped in a single vision, in a single way of thinking. So that you would be free. And freedom, my dear, is one of the greatest blessings that exist. Look, most people spend their whole lives believing there's only one truth, one right path, one correct way to be. They cling to fixed ideas, to rigid patterns, and in doing so, they lose the ability to adapt, to grow, to evolve. But not you. You were made differently. You can see both sides of the coin. You understand that not everything is black and white, that there are infinite shades of gray between the extremes. This skill makes you extremely valuable because you can mediate conflicts. You can listen to one person and understand their point of view, and then listen to another person and also understand their reasoning. You don't take sides hastily. You weigh things up, you consider, you analyze. And that is wisdom. But at the same time, this duality brings you challenges. Because sometimes you feel divided. Sometimes you don't know which side to choose, which voice within you to follow. And this can generate anxiety, it can make you feel lost, without direction. But the truth is, you're not lost. You're exploring. God gave you this dual nature precisely so that you could experience life fully. So that you wouldn't be limited. So that you could be rational and emotional. Serious and playful. Deep and light. All at the same time. And that's not confusion. That's inner richness. Think about it. While many people spend their lives trying to fit into a mold, you have the freedom to be multifaceted. You can be one thing today and another tomorrow, and that doesn't make you fake. It makes you whole. It makes you human in your truest form. And you know what the most beautiful part of all this is? It's that this duality allows you to connect with all kinds of people. You can talk to someone very serious and intellectual, and minutes later be laughing and being spontaneous with someone laid back. You move between worlds, and that makes you a link, a bridge, a meeting point between different realities. So the next time someone calls you contradictory, unstable, or difficult to understand, smile. Because that person doesn't know the gift you carry. They don't understand that you were chosen by God to be greater than just one thing. You were chosen to be everything. And that is a strength that few possess. If this message resonated with your zodiac sign, trust me, it's no coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal. And you're here because you needed to hear this today. Your contribution as a subscriber or member is what keeps these messages alive. Messages that touch, awaken, and transform lives. And if this video made sense to you, leave your birth date in the comments. Now let's continue with our video. Reason 3. Gemini was gifted with a brilliant mind to solve impossible problems. Have you ever noticed how fast your mind works? How you can process information at a speed that many people can't keep up with? How you see solutions where others only see problems? This isn't just ordinary intelligence. It's divine intelligence. God endowed Gemini with a brilliant, agile mind, capable of making connections that escape most people. And that's no exaggeration. Just look at your own life. How many times have you saved a difficult situation because you thought quickly? How many times have you found a creative solution to a problem that seemed impossible? How many times have people turned to you because they knew you would have an idea, a solution, an answer? God knew that the world would need people capable of thinking outside the box. People who weren't content with the obvious, who questioned, who sought alternatives. And He chose Gemini for that. Because their minds aren't linear. They are multidimensional. They don't follow just one path. They explore all paths at the same time. This makes you a natural problem solver. You don't give up easily. When everyone else has thrown in the towel, you're still there, looking for a way to solve it. And you know why? Because you don't see limits the way others do. For you, there's always a possibility. There's always a way out. And most of the time, you're right. But this brilliant mind also comes at a price. It never stops. It's always thinking, always analyzing, always connecting ideas. And that can be exhausting. It can leave you anxious, agitated, restless. Because it's like having 10 tabs open in your mind's browser at the same time. And all of them demanding your attention. Some people criticize you for this. They say you get distracted easily, that you don't focus, that you start many things and don't finish them. But the truth is that your mind was made to explore, not to be fixed. It needs movement, stimulation, novelty. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way God designed you. The problem is when you don't understand this. When you try to force yourself to function in a way that isn't yours. When you try to fit into a productivity model that doesn't respect your nature. Because then you get frustrated. Then you feel inadequate. And that's a shame. Because you're wasting your greatest talent. The truth is, the world needs minds like yours. It needs people who think differently, who see angles that no one else sees, who bring innovation, creativity, and originality. and you have that in abundance. So, instead of trying to fit in, accept your unique way of working and learn to use that brilliant mind to your advantage. Because when you do that, when you allow your mind to soar, you become unstoppable. You solve what seemed impossible. You create what seemed unimaginable. You transform the world around you. And that, my dear, is exactly what God expected of you when He gave you this privileged mind. Reason 4. Gemini was chosen to be the eternal apprentice and teacher of humanity. Have you ever noticed how you have an insatiable hunger for knowledge? How nothing completely satisfies you because there's always something new to learn? How bored you get when you spend too much time doing the same thing? This happens because Gemini was chosen by God to be the eternal learner and teacher of humanity. And that is a sacred mission. Since childhood, you were probably curious. You asked 1,000 questions. You wanted to understand how things worked. Why the sky is blue, why people act in a certain way, how this works, how that works. And that curiosity never died. It just transformed. Today you continue to seek answers. You continue wanting to learn. And do you know why God made you this way? Because knowledge needs to circulate. It needs to move. It can't stay still, rigid, stored away. And you were chosen to be that channel. To learn and to teach. To absorb and to share. To be both the student and the teacher. This means that your life is a journey of constant evolution. You are not here to stagnate. You are here to grow, to expand, to explore new horizons. And every time you learn something new, you don't keep it to yourself. You feel the need to share it, to teach it, to pass it on. And that's beautiful, because you don't accumulate knowledge out of vanity. You accumulate it because you know that knowledge is power. And power needs to be democratized. It needs to reach everyone. And you do this naturally, sometimes without even realizing it. In a casual conversation, in a quick piece of advice, in a detailed explanation. You are always teaching. But being a perpetual learner also brings challenges, because you never feel completely satisfied. You always feel like something is missing. You always want more. And that can generate anxiety. It can make you feel like you're never good enough, that you never know enough, that you're always one step behind. But let me tell you something. You don't need to know everything. Nobody does. What matters is that you're always in motion, always searching, always growing. And that's already much more than most people do. Most people stop learning after they leave school. But not you. You understood that life itself is a school. And you know what else? Every time you teach something to someone, you are fulfilling a divine purpose. You are being an instrument of God. Because knowledge transforms. It liberates. It empowers. And when you share what you know, you are changing lives. You are lighting lights. You are planting seeds that will germinate and bear fruit that you won't even see. So, if you are a Gemini, embrace this mission. Embrace this hunger for knowledge. Embrace this need to teach. Because you were chosen for this. And the more you learn and share, the more you will be fulfilling your purpose here on earth. The more you will be honoring the gift that God gave you. Reason 5. Gemini received the gift of adaptability to survive in any situation. You know that story about water adapting to the shape of its container? Well, Gemini is like that. You have an incredible ability to adapt to any situation, any environment, any person. And that's not luck. It's a divine gift. God gave you this flexibility because He knew you would need it to fulfill your mission here on earth. Think about it. How many times have you had to reinvent yourself? How many times has life thrown you into a completely new situation, and you somehow managed to turn things around? How many times have you changed jobs, cities, social circles, and still managed to fit in, make new friends, find your place? That's adaptation. And few signs possess this ability as naturally as Gemini. While many people panic at the thought of change, you embrace it. While many resist the new, you dive in headfirst. Because you know deep in your soul that life is movement. And those who don't move die. God knew the world would be unpredictable, that things would change quickly, that unexpected challenges would arise. And He needed people capable of handling it. People who wouldn't break under pressure. People who would bend but not break. And He chose Gemini for that. This ability to adapt makes you resilient. It makes you strong. Even when you think you're weak, even when you feel you can't take it anymore, you find a way to keep going. You adjust. You change your strategy. You find a new path. And that's a strength that comes from within. A spiritual strength. But look, adapting doesn't mean losing your essence. It doesn't mean erasing yourself, becoming a chameleon just to please others. No. Adapting means being intelligent enough to understand the context and act in the best way possible without losing who you are in the process. And that's the balance you need to find. Because sometimes you adapt so much that you forget about yourself. Sometimes you change so much to fit in that you lose your identity. And that's dangerous. Because the gift of adaptation was given to you to survive, not to disappear. So use this gift wisely. Adapt when necessary, but always keep your essence intact. Be flexible, but don't be so malleable that you let yourself be molded by just anyone. Because you are not modeling clay. You are water. And water, even when changing shape, remains water. And remember, in a world that is changing ever faster, your ability to adapt is a competitive advantage. It's what will allow you not only to survive, but to thrive. It's what will make you stand out while others fall behind. Because you were chosen by God to be strong, flexible, and above all unbeatable. Reason 6. Gemini was gifted with eternal youth in heart and soul. There's something special about Gemini that many people don't understand. No matter how old you are, you always seem younger. And I'm not just talking about physical appearance. I'm talking about energy, about spirit, about attitude. You carry an eternal youth in your heart and soul. And that's a gift from God. While many people grow old and lose the sparkle in their eyes, lose their curiosity, lose the desire to explore the world, you remain alive. You remain enthusiastic. You continue wanting to experience new things, see different places, learn skills you've never tried. You don't succumb to monotony. You don't settle for routine. God made you this way because He needed someone capable of keeping the flame of life always burning. Someone who would remind the world that growing old doesn't mean dying inside. That it's possible to be 60, 70, 80 years old and still be full of life, dreams, and plans. And you are living proof of that. This eternal youthfulness makes you an inspiring person. People look at you and wonder, how does he do it? How does he have so much energy? How does he remain so enthusiastic about life? And the answer is simple, because you understood the secret. You understood that age is in the mind, not the body. Of course, the body ages. That's natural. But the spirit doesn't need to. And your spirit refuses to age. It refuses to be trapped, tied down, limited. It wants to fly. And you let it. You don't hold it back. You nourish it with new things, with experiences, with laughter. And that's why it stays young. But this youthfulness can also bring challenges. Because sometimes people don't take you seriously. They think you're immature, irresponsible, that you don't know what you want. And that can hurt you. Can make you doubt yourself. But let me tell you, don't change. Don't let the world steal that lightness from you. Because the world needs people like you. It needs people who haven't lost their capacity for wonder. Who still laugh out loud, who still dream, who still believe that anything is possible. It needs people who remember that life isn't just about responsibility and seriousness. That life is also play, adventure, and discovery. And you know what else? This youthful spirit is contagious. When you enter a room, you bring joy. You bring light. You bring movement. And people, even without realizing it, are influenced by it. They leave feeling lighter after being with you. And that's a gift. That's a blessing. So if you're a Gemini, celebrate this eternal youth that God placed within you. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't try to hide it. Because it's one of your greatest strengths. And in a world that insists on making you grow up too fast, being a child at heart is revolutionary. It's courageous. It's divine. Reason 7. Gemini was blessed with the power of the word that heals and transforms. Words have power. They can build or destroy. They can heal or wound. They can transform an entire life. And Gemini was blessed by God with the power of words. His voice carries a special energy. When you speak, people listen. And not just listen. They feel. They are touched. They are transformed. Have you ever noticed this? Have you ever noticed how sometimes you say something simple, but it leaves a mark on the person? How your advice completely changes someone's perspective. How a word of comfort from you brings peace to a troubled heart. This is not a coincidence. It is divine purpose. God gave you this gift because He knew the world would need healers. And healing doesn't just come through medicine or therapy. Healing also comes through words. The right words at the right time, spoken by the right person. And you are that person. You were chosen to be a healer through communication. But understand, with great power comes great responsibility. And you need to be careful, because just as your words can heal, they can also hurt, and hurt deeply. So it's important that you use this gift consciously, that you think before you speak, that you choose your words carefully. When you are in harmony with your purpose, your words flow naturally. You know exactly what to say. You find the right words even when you weren't prepared. And people sense that. They sense that you are speaking the truth, that you are speaking from the heart. And that creates connection. That creates trust. But when you are unbalanced, your words can become weapons. You can use your communication skills to manipulate, to hurt, to destroy. And that goes against your nature. That goes against the purpose God gave you. That's why it's so important that you keep your heart pure, that you use your gift for good. Think about how many people you've helped just by talking, how many people you've pulled out of darkness just by listening and speaking, how many lives you've touched without even realizing it. That's power, real power, divine power, and you carry that within you. And you know what else? This gift multiplies the more you use it. The more you practice conscious communication, the stronger it becomes. The more you use your words to heal, the more people you reach. And each person you heal becomes a channel of light as well. They go and heal others. And so your impact multiplies infinitely. So if you are a Gemini, honor that gift. Honor the power of words that God has placed within you. Speak with love. Speak with truth. Speak with purpose. Because your words matter. They have weight. They have power. And when used correctly, they can literally save lives. Reason 8. Gemini was chosen to be the bridge between heaven and earth. Have you ever felt like you live in two worlds at the same time? That one part of you is here on the physical plane dealing with the responsibilities of daily life, while another part is there in the spiritual world connected to something greater? This feeling is not imagination. It's real. Because Gemini was chosen by God to be the bridge between heaven and earth. You have a foot in every dimension. You can move between the material and the spiritual with an ease that few signs possess. And this gives you a unique perspective on life. You understand that there is more than what our eyes see. You feel the presence of the divine even in the simplest things of everyday life. This spiritual connection makes you a channel, an intermediary, someone capable of bringing wisdom from heaven to earth. And often you do this without even realizing it. When you give inspired advice, when you have a strong intuition, when you simply know something without knowing how you know it, that is the divine working through you. God chose you for this role because He needed someone trustworthy, someone who wouldn't get lost in the material world, but who also wouldn't disconnect from it, someone capable of maintaining balance between the two planes. And you manage to do that, even when it's difficult, even when you feel torn. But being that bridge also brings challenges, because sometimes you feel out of place, as if you don't fully belong to either world, as if you were a foreigner both here and there. And that can lead to loneliness, can make you feel like nobody fully understands you. But the truth is, you don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to continue fulfilling your mission, continue being the link, continue bringing spiritual light to the material plane, because that's what the world needs. It needs people who remember that there is something greater, that there is purpose, that there is divinity. And you do this in subtle ways. You don't need to be a religious leader or a spiritual guru. You do it simply by being who you are, by being true, by being authentic, by being a channel. Because when you are aligned with your purpose, you radiate an energy that uplifts the people around you. And every time you help someone reconnect with their own spirituality, you are doing your work. Every time you inspire someone to seek something greater, you are fulfilling your mission. Every time you remind someone that we are not alone, that we are supported by the universe, you are being the bridge that God called you to be. So, if you are a Gemini, embrace that spiritual connection. Don't be afraid of it. Don't try to suppress it, because it is your greatest strength. And the more you allow the divine to flow through you, the more powerful you become, more aligned, more fulfilled, and closer to your true purpose here on Earth. Reason 9. Gemini received the mission to question in order to evolve collective consciousness. If there's one thing Gemini doesn't passively accept, it's lies. It's hypocrisy. It's deceit. You question. You doubt. You investigate. And many people criticize you for it. They call you problematic, rebellious, difficult. But the truth is that this need to question is not a flaw. It's a divine mission. God gave you this characteristic because He needed someone capable of challenging the status quo. The world is full of ready-made truths, of imposed rules, of standards that no one dares to question. And that's exactly why the world stagnates. Because people accept everything as it comes. They don't think. They don't reflect. They just follow. Like sheep. And God didn't make you to be a sheep. He made you to be a questioner. From a young age, you probably bothered adults with your questions. Why? 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 You weren't satisfied with superficial answers. You wanted to truly understand. You wanted to delve deep. And this characteristic only intensified over time. Today, you question systems, you question beliefs, you question authority. And that's good. It's necessary. It's revolutionary. Because it is through questioning that humanity evolves. It was through questioning that we discovered that the earth is not the center of the universe. It was through questioning that we overthrew dictatorships. It was through questioning that we won rights. And you are part of this lineage of questioners. Of people who do not accept the world as it is, but seek to transform it. God chose you for this mission because you are not afraid. You are not intimidated by authority. You do not remain silent when you see injustice. You speak out. You point things out. You denounce injustice. And even if this brings you problems, even if it puts you in uncomfortable situations, you continue. Because your conscience will not allow you to do otherwise. But questioning needs to be accompanied by wisdom. Because there's no point in questioning for the sake of questioning. There's no point in being contrarian just to get attention. True questioning, the kind God gave you, is intelligent. It's well-founded. It's constructive. It doesn't seek to destroy for the pleasure of destroying. It seeks to improve. It seeks to evolve. It seeks to transform. And do you know what happens when you consciously question? You plant seeds. You make people think. You take them out of their comfort zone. And even if they resist at first, even if they attack you, even if they reject you, you've left a mark. You've sown doubt. And doubt is the first step towards transformation. Therefore, don't stop questioning. Don't let them try to silence you. Don't accept being domesticated. Because the world needs people like you. It needs voices that challenge, that disturb, that bother. Because it is in discomfort that people awaken. It is in crisis that transformation happens. And you are an agent of that transformation. So, if you are a Gemini, celebrate your questioning nature. Celebrate your inability to accept lies. Celebrate your courage to go against the grain. Because you were chosen by God to raise collective consciousness. And that is a sacred mission. A mission that few have the courage to undertake. But you do. And that makes you special. Reason 10. Gemini was chosen to teach the world the value of freedom. If there's one word that defines the essence of Gemini, that word is freedom. You weren't made to live in cages. You weren't made to be trapped in suffocating routines. You weren't made to follow paths that others have laid out for you. You were made to fly. And God gave you wings precisely for that reason. So that you could teach the world the value of freedom. From the beginning, you felt this need to be free. To make your own choices. To make mistakes if necessary, but to make them on your own. To not have to answer to anyone. To be able to change your mind without being judged. To be able to explore without being limited. And that's not irresponsibility. It's autonomy. Spiritual maturity. God made you this way because the world is full of prisons. Mental, emotional, and social prisons. People are trapped in jobs they hate. They're trapped in toxic relationships. They're trapped by limiting beliefs. And they live miserable lives because they can't break free. But you're different. You refuse to live imprisoned. And this refusal, this constant search for freedom teaches. It teaches others that it's possible to live differently. That it's possible to say no. That it's possible to start over. That it's possible to choose. And every time you make a courageous choice, every time you break free from something that limited you, you give permission for others to do the same. But freedom doesn't mean a lack of commitment. It doesn't mean irresponsibility. It doesn't mean doing whatever you want without thinking about the consequences. True freedom is conscious. It's responsible. It's the kind that respects the limits of others while preserving your own. And you understand that. You know that freedom without responsibility is just chaos. The challenge is that not everyone understands your need for freedom. Some people will try to hold you back, control you, mold you. They'll tell you that you need to be more stable, more predictable, more reliable. And that can make you doubt yourself, can make you think you're wrong. But you're not. You are simply being true to your nature. And your nature was designed by God. So who is anyone to say you're wrong? The truth is, you bother people. Your freedom bothers people, because it exposes the prisons of others. And nobody likes to face their own chains. But continue being free. Continue flying. Continue showing that it's possible to live authentically. Because every time you do that, you light the way for someone who is stuck. You become a beacon, an example, living proof that freedom is not a dream. It's a choice. And remember, God didn't give you wings so you would stay on the ground. He gave you wings so you could fly high. So you could explore horizons that others can't even imagine exist. So you could live fully, intensely, passionately. And that is a blessing that few have. So use it, honor it, and teach the world that freedom is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's a right. It's divine. If this message resonated with your zodiac sign, trust me, it's no coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal. And you're here because you needed to hear this today. Your contribution as a subscriber or member is what keeps these messages alive. Messages that touch, awaken, and transform lives. And if this video made sense to you, leave your birth date in the comments. We have reached the end of our journey today. And what a journey it has been. Together we discovered the 10 reasons why God chose Gemini to carry a unique strength. And now you know, you are not ordinary. You are not just another one. You were chosen. Chosen to be a messenger, to be a bridge, to be a healer through words. Chosen to question, to teach, to liberate. Every characteristic of yours that people criticize, every trait they try to change, is actually a divine gift. Your duality, your restless mind, your need for freedom. All of this is part of God's greater plan for you. And the sooner you accept this, the sooner you will begin to live life to the fullest. But acceptance isn't enough. You need to act. You need to use the gifts you've been given. You need to stop hiding, stop diminishing yourself, stop trying to fit in where you clearly weren't meant to be. You were made to shine, to stand out, to be different. And the world is waiting for you. So my challenge to you today is simple. Look at your life and identify where you are wasting your gifts, where you are sabotaging yourself, where you are living below your potential, and make a conscious choice to change that, because you deserve to live the extraordinary life God planned for you. If this video touched your heart, if it resonated with you, don't keep this message to yourself. Share it. Leave a comment. Leave your birth date below so we can continue connecting these powerful energies. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now. Turn on notifications, because every week there's new content to help you awaken, evolve, and connect with your divine purpose. And if these messages truly make a difference in your life, consider becoming a channel member. Your contribution is what allows this work to continue. May we continue bringing light, hope, and transformation to thousands of people. You are a part of this. You are essential. Always remember, you were chosen. You are special. You possess a unique strength. And the universe is conspiring in your favor. So lift your head, open your heart, and go live the extraordinary life that is your birthright. Until the next video. And may God always bless you.